going on, everybody? Well, we'll let some people get in here. This is my first live. Honestly, I don't know that I am. Yeah, I guess I am. It says live up there. So, all I'm doing today, kind of taking a break from the business and the hustle and bustle of just everything. I know it's kind of weird. I like to come to my shop sometimes and just kind of lock myself in the office and escape. This is kind of my escape room, I guess, so to say. But I've got a couple of fidget knives that I'm constantly fidgeting with. A lot of you know about the Kershaw Bel Air, how I feel about it. It's I love this knife, but I'm constantly fidgeting with it, constantly, and it gets loose. The pivot gets loose, screws get loose. I'm banging this thing around. So every once in a while, I got to do some maintenance to it. And since I've got this Sebenza back, I've been banging this thing just about constantly. And the pivot has come loose. The couple of the body screws, they're loose. So not really cutting with them very much, but I am kind of banging them around a little bit. So anyway, which brings me to another point. I kind of got steered wrong. I'm not very far into my knife journey, so to say. I'm only about a year or two in, and I'm even newer when it comes to knife maintenance. Up until here recently, I had no interest in taking a knife apart and modifying anything, changing scales, doing any kind of maintenance. In the past, anytime I ever had a knife, I have literally lost or thrown it away within a few weeks of use. So maintenance was just never anything that I needed to do. So anyway, long story short, I'm watching a video. Some of you may know who I'm talking about here. They were talking about having to wait so long to for Loctite to dry, stuff like that. So they use super glue. And I mean, I'm talking just praised it. Went and found his video on super glue and all that. And so I had a couple of knives that I worked on, and I used super glue in the pivots. Come to find out, that's the last thing in the world you want to do. So I spent about a day and a half getting super glue out of pivots and going back to using Loctite, which this is what I was using to begin with. But through a couple of new buddies of mine, I found out that that's the worst thing in the world you can use. I don't know the whole reasons I trust these guys, though. If they say it should be Loctite, then it should be Loctite. They've been doing this a long time. I have not. So who am I to argue with anybody about any of this, you know? So, but anyway, so on the Bel Air, the pivot screw has come loose. Not only has it come loose, but it's gotten to where it won't stay tight. So it's time to take it out and put some Loctite on it and let it sit for a little while, let it cure. So just taking the screw out, and I've got some, what have I done with it? There it is. I've got some cleaner here, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what this cleaner is. I used to build some control panels and PLCs and stuff like that for a company, and this is the cleaner that they used to clean the panels, the cabinets, and stuff like that. And it's like jet fuel. If there's anything on anything, this is getting it off. That's what she said. But I use this to get oil stuff like that out of pivots now. I will pour just a little bit of it in a cup, and I am so unprepared. Here we go. And I will use it to dab my little Q-tip things into it, and that's all it takes. Boy, that stuff's strong, man. But it works. It works wonders. So yeah, I'm going to clean the oil out of the threads. You see how quick? That was white. There it is. And that's it. Like that stuff's so strong, it ate the glue off of my little Q-tip thing. So now I got a little plastic pick. But I will dab my pick into it as well and clean all that little crud and whatnot out of these threads. Yeah. Okay. Then I put the pivot screw on the Allen head. I will dip my rag into cleaning solution that is evaporating about as fast as I'm cleaning, and I will clean the screw. So I've been thinking about doing some lives out in the shop and stuff. I just don't know what to do. So I am working on getting a plan together for that. I will do some cutting board lives, odds and ends stuff. And I piddle out there. There's no telling what I'll find myself doing sometimes. It's actually somewhat comical at how random my shop time is, my personal shop time, that is. My shop essentially is just a storage building for my company. I've got a job trailer that I keep here, some equipment, trailers, my utility trailers, work truck, some toolboxes, stuff like that. That when we're not on a job site, I need to be able to keep them somewhere. And what had happened was I filled my basement up, my garage, and just about my side yard. And I was driving the HOA crazy, which is a story for another time. Me and the HOA don't get along too well. But I was in clear violation of any HOA rules. I couldn't argue anymore, and that was pissing me off because I couldn't argue. Like, I like to push the limits. I like to really get on these guys' nerves. This pivot size on this thing is really weird. Anyway, long story short, I had to find something and somewhere to store some of this stuff. It was driving my wife crazy. It was actually getting to the point where it was driving me crazy too. And not to mention, it was driving me crazy not being able to argue with the HOA. I was losing the fight, so to say. Plus, it helps me out when it comes to IRS too. So, anyway, So my point is, in my shop, when I have personal downtime, I will come over here and just fiddle around. Sometimes I make cutting boards. Sometimes I'm welding just two pieces of metal together. Like it's kind of like a fantasy factory. If you know what fantasy factory is with Rob Dyrdek and those guys. That's what my brother calls it. He says, Ryan, this is your fantasy factory. So yeah, man, it's just random stuff, man. Right? Like I'm like, hey, what'll happen if I do this? You know, just really random experiments. And it's fun. But anyway, back to the knife. I just put a little dab of Loctite, a very small amount. That may actually be a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is actually spread that out just a little bit. I want to kind of spread it out some so that I don't get it on the outside of the hole that much. And then I want it just tight enough to where I don't have any blade movement, but not so tight that I'm crushing the bearings. That's always kind of a thing for me is if I'm buying a bearing knife secondhand, is I wonder if there's any maintenance been done to it. So that's good. That's exactly where I want it. It's still very loose, or it's loose enough to where I can fidget with it. But it's not so tight that I'm hindering the bearings from working properly. And that's it. Let that set for, they recommend like 24 hours, but that thing will sit there. I'll make that thing sit. I'll let that thing sit there for 2 or 3 days now. Okay, so to the Sebenza. All right. I've got body screws that have come loose, and the pivot, I noticed fidgeting with it, nearly came out. I looked down, I had a pivot screw just, I'm barely hanging on. And I don't know what size this new hardware is. Lord, is this a daggum T15? Jesus. T15. I thought it was T10. All right, so body is going to be a T9. And the pivot will be the T15. So let's get it going. Yeah, so that screw right there just, I'm going to go ahead and take all these out and do them while I'm here. Well, no. All those are still done. This one right here is the only one that came loose. I'm wondering if I forgot to put Loctite on it. It don't look like it. So, anyway. All right, let's clean this one out. So any of you guys that are going to be watching this in the future. I don't think I have any, no viewers. Didn't really expect any. It being my first time on here. But in the comments, you can answer if you watch it. Do any of you guys fidget? Do you have a favorite fidget knife? And if so, do you ever have to do this? I've got some knives that I use and abuse for sure. Got some knives that I work with that really get some hard use out of them. But I also have knives that are they just got really satisfying actions. I will use those to fidget with. Man, when I get stressed, I do a lot of pacing, and when I'm pacing, I'm constantly fidgeting with a knife. Like that Bel Air, the action on it is wild to me. How smooth that thing is. I haven't found a knife with one that's that easy. I'm sure there are out there. Like I said before, I'm so young in my knife journey, I don't know what I don't know. So I'm not saying that is the best, but it's the easiest one to fidget in my collection for me right now. So but that one gets a lot of banging around, slamming the action open, and just constant fidget. So I get to where I have to tighten it up every once in a while, and it's getting to where it won't stay tight at all. So I figured it was time to put some Loctite on it. We'll see if that works. If not, I may end up having to replace the pivot on it, which is fine. I've gotten to where I actually like working on these things. This in itself is kind of a stress relief for me now. The whole YouTube thing. YouTube is kind of funny to me how this came about. Most people that's going to see this is going to know my friend Shane Gables, if anybody watches it. Through knives, it kind of got us talking again after several years of just going our separate ways. Nothing happened. It wasn't any kind of drama or anything like that. It's just life, And anyway, he got to talking. He was sitting here in my office one day, and he got to talking about being on YouTube and stuff like that. So I was like, heck, that sounds like a good place to kind of further my knowledge of knives. And got on there, and I've been on it ever since. It's no secret. I've said this 100 times. Everybody knows it that has seen any of my videos, that I've just about fallen in love with the community. Good group of guys. They're funny. I haven't met anybody that I don't like yet, So anyway, so now it's gotten to where just a few months ago, I got on YouTube. If I had questions about how to do something like that, it was to watch a video. And now I've got on it to hang out. Never in a million years would I have ever thought that I would just be hanging out on YouTube. But here I am. It's wild at how that works. I put way too much on here. Put that back. Yeah, don't take much of this stuff. You definitely can use too much. In the field, I get so mad at my guys when I come back on something that I've done or my company has done, and there's a gallon of Loctite on something, and you just about got to get a torch on it to get it to break loose. It makes me so mad. There's no sense in, especially when the guys know better. All right, so all the other screws are good. Loctite is just this one, so I may have just forgot on this one. don't want to get this one too awful tight. That's kind of a secondary, I guess, tighten up. Getting your centering right. Actually, I probably need to tighten this just a little bit. Yeah. There we go. All right. So that one is done. It's done. Now to work on the pivot, which I think is just this one side right here that is loose. But yeah, so now the YouTube community in itself has become kind of a stress relief for me as well. It's kind of an escape, and to be honest with you. Gonna get to the hustle and bustle of life is I kind of need to clean all this up. A little bit too much grease on there. Yeah, these need to be cleaned up a good bit. So what I'm going to do, I've got a small ultrasonic cleaner over here. If I come up on something that hey, it's just really, really, really dirty, got a whole lot of stuff to get off, I'll turn this little thing on and it does a really good job for me. Guess I need to plug it up. So anyway, yeah, the YouTube community has been very welcoming to me, and they're just kind of different, something just fun. So while those are cleaning, I'm going to clean pivot hole a little bit. Went a little overboard with the grease there. I got it seeping out of my pivot hole. That's what she said. I'll know next time not to use that much lube. So, what are some knives that you guys like to fidget with? Smooth actions. What's up, Drew, dude? Man, you're gonna have to bear with me some, bro. This is my first time on here. Thanks, man. Thanks. You've been one of the ones that's been really cool with me, very welcoming. I appreciate that. What Drew, what do you do for a living? If you don't mind blasting that on live. While we're waiting on that to clean, you're a musician, dude. I love music. I played drums for a long time. Growing up, uh, I was in I was in a worship band at church and had a few bands outside of church as well that we played around with. I thoroughly enjoy beating the daylights out of drums, and that's something I haven't done since I was a kid. Um, and actually made the comment here in the past. I told my wife that I would like to start playing around with them again, and she's no. I can pick a little bit on guitar, not much, but play a little bit piano. Let's see. Let's check this one out. Make sure So where are you a musician at, Drew? I don't know. I don't think I know where you're from, bud. That's awesome. That's fun, man. That's cool, dude. Really cool, man. Yeah, I actually enjoyed playing for the church. It they gave me and all the musicians a lot of creative freedom. That was good. A little Spyderco action. I need to get some. I need to get some scales for this. I've also got another one that I've just got. I got this one secondary. This was Rex 45. Um, when it came to me, it had dyed scales. He had dyed it, I think, like green, like army green. Yeah. And I actually put it in this cleaner, in the ultrasonic cleaner, and the dye came off like dust. It was a pretty satisfying thing. But I would like to put some scales on this too, and I haven't really found any Manix 2 scales that I'm in love with, so I've actually thought about making some. Sweet. I haven't tried any of that Spidey 27, Spyderco 27, whatever, steel. Uh, so far, I like this. Rex 45. I think Shane's the one who turned me on to the Rex 45. All right. Yeah, Manix 2 was actually the first Spyderco that I actually liked. And believe it or not, I had it in my drawer for a long time before I actually got it out and started carrying it. It was the lightweight. What is this? CPM CTS BD1N. And I had this, and I think like I can't remember what the other one is, but I carried them both, and I fell in love with this one. That was one of those things. Shane's like, "Hey man, if you got one, you need to be carrying it." And sure enough, I did, and it didn't take but just a couple of days, and I was hooked. But you're right, the Manix 2 is just about anything you can need out of an EDC for sure. I've heard about those. I don't have one. I think it's what, Penn scales or something like that. It's called something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I've been thinking about doing some lives out in the shop, doing some cutting board content. I'm trying. I don't really want to do just knife stuff, because I'm a lot more than just knives. And knives, I'm essentially just learning. I could probably make myself sound like an idiot sometimes. No, I like everything that I've seen. It's just not something that I fell in love with. But that being said, I am very bad about seeing something and initially not liking it, but it growing on me. When I first saw Sabenzas and the Encozis, I was like, I don't see what the hype is about them. I don't like the shape. I don't like the actions. It's not the normal action that I like. And it didn't take me very long. The more I learned about knives, the more that the bends and the Nkosi grew on me. And now, like, there's some of my favorite knives. There's the Nkosi. This is one of my Benzes. This one's on bearings. But so that being said, yeah, I haven't really seen anything that I have fallen in love with, but I am looking at the AWTs, and it's going to be one of those things that I'll. Yeah, man, you definitely need to try a CRK, and if it's one of those things that you don't like at first, I encourage you to just stick it in your pocket and carry it for a few days, and you'll change your mind. I feel like anyway, that's what happened to me. But the scales will probably end up being something that grow on me over time if I just keep looking at them. I do want aluminum, but I've kind of thought about making some out of. I've got a lot of black walnut that I've thought about making some scales out of myself and doing like a raw walnut look. I will have a little bit of equipment that I need to buy to be able to get them shaped. But all I would do is take the scales off of this and use this as a template. Cut everything out and my holes, all that stuff. Take the pins out of this, everything. Put them in my new one. Yeah, that was my thought too, and that's why I'm kind of waiting before I buy any, because it's to me it would be a fun project too, because it's something I've never done. So it's something I've been very seriously thinking about over the past, I don't know, about months now. And I have no shortage of scrap wood that are perfect for scales. I've actually got some that I'm giving to Shane next time I go up to Gadsden, or he comes down here. I've set a little bit aside for him as well. So let's get this pivot put back together. Perfect. Something else about the CRKs, Drew, that I think you would like is how easy they are to maintain. A novice like myself can do some serious work to a Chris Reeve knife. Why is this doing this? I think I need to scrape a layer of crud off the top of my Loctite, because it is coming off in chunks, my man. I don't want that. I don't want chunks. Athens, Georgia, bro. I do a lot of work in Athens, Georgia. I do. The chicken processing plant there, Pilgrim's Pride. I have done a lot of work. Best Western there. I have spent. I guarantee you, I am knocking a year of stay time there at that Best Western in Athens. Has to be getting close, if not more than 365 nights there. But there's also a chicken plant right outside of Athens there. It's Harrison Poultry. I've done a lot of work in that chicken processing plant as well. Yeah, my company does a lot of work, a lot of electrical maintenance for Pilgrim's Pride. We'll also update their equipment. I guess in a nutshell, to explain it, when Pilgrim's Pride, when those processing plants gets a contract, let's say with Popeyes, Popeyes will have very specific specifications for their poultry, and we'll take special equipment to do that. So what my company does, we go in, we cut out old equipment, put the new equipment in, and wire everything up. And sometimes that requires installing new PLCs. Sometimes we can run it off the existing systems. Sometimes we got to run cable tray and pull all new wire. But that's what my company does. We all over the Southeast. We do that. We do a lot of we do some pipeline work, just stuff like that. But yeah, I've spent a lot of time there in Athens, and that is probably a reason why I say if I wasn't an Alabama fan, I'd probably be a Georgia fan. One, I like Kirby Smart. Two, I spend a lot of time in Athens. So next time I'm over there, man, I'm going to hit you up. For sure. Probably take me to some restaurants that I haven't been to yet. I'll tell you something that happened here recently that really surprised me. I was in the subway really close to the campus there. I forgot what road that is. But I laid my billfold down beside me and ate. This was at lunchtime one day, and then went back to work. And it wasn't until I left the chicken plant that night, about 9, 10 o'clock, something like that, that I realized I left my billfold at the subway sitting in the bench beside me. And you know that area, there's a lot of homeless people running around there. I'm like, man, that billfold's gone. It is gone, absolutely gone. But the next morning, they were closed that night. But the next morning I called, I was like, hey, I'll just check. Sure enough, it was sitting there. And I was really surprised and kind of felt bad for the judgment that I passed on a lot of people. But no, somebody found it and it was sitting behind the counter. All the cash was still in it. None of my cards got hacked. I was like, well, I was wrong. So that one is now fixed. I think I've got one here that has super glue in the pivot that I will take out. I've still got a few minutes. I'll just hang out here for a minute. So this is a Kershaw Bevy. This is another fidget knife that I've got that's a budget knife that is extremely overlooked, I feel like. It's a China, made in China, but it has, I think it's called a speed assist opening. It's stupid satisfying for me, though. I got a bunch of these knives that a lot of them were given to me. My local knife shop, well, I say it's local, it's over in Hoover. It's about 35, 40 minutes away from me. I'll go in there and spend a bunch of money, and they'll throw one of these knives in the bag when they're packaging it up. They know I like them. So here is what happens when you put super glue in the pivot. I feel like I'm going to twist my bit. And the amount of trash that it makes. Which is, I guess it's fine as long as you leave it put together. But if you ever need to do any maintenance to it, that's when it screws you. No pun intended. Yeah, this is bad. Yes, yeah, that was me. That's why I was actually talking about that earlier. When I very first started working on knives, I was having issues with my Loctite, and even leaving it set into cure and stuff. I've used Loctite in my life. I know how to use it. That was when I watched watching a random video of him, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm using super glue. Watch it. You can watch a previous video I did talking about it." So I went all the way down. It's like 3 years back. Went down trying to find that video, found it, not knowing any better. I'm like, hell, I'm gonna try it. He highly suggested. He obviously knows what he's doing. I fixed a few knives, and here recently I learned that that is not what you do. If your pivot's not staying tight with Loctite, there's other issues going on. And when I went to change it is when I found out why you don't use super glue. It is a nightmare to clean up and to put anything else in it. So if I see Lefty at I said this the other night, if I see Lefty at Blade Show, I'm gonna give him a swirly. I'm gonna say, hey, nice to meet you. Come here. I will shake his hand and call him out on it. That butthole. It works. It really does. Like he's not right. It really does. You can use your knife immediately after using it. Knives like this, yeah, man, use it. But if you got a higher end knife like a Chris Reeve or one of your Spydercos or American Blade Work, do not put super glue on it. Because when it comes time to do any kind of maintenance to it, you just about ruin your pivot. Like it takes a lot of work to get all the super glue out. It's almost one of those things where once you start using super glue, you got to always use super glue. Your Loctite definitely is not going to cure to it. I don't think, anyway. And I say all this humbly, like you guys have obviously know way more than just about anybody in the knife community is going to know more than me anyway. I'm still learning. And in Lefty, I mean, respect to him and his knowledge. I'm not knocking the boy, but that was some bad advice. I mean, from my experience. Like I said, if I was just going to leave it alone and never mess with it again, okay, but if I've got to maintain it, then it's trash. Hey, appreciate you hanging out, Drew. You have a good one, buddy. The amount of gunk that the super glue leaves is very surprising. It's amazing to me that much gunk can be in such a tiny little hole. That's what she said. Yes, she did. She said it all right. Get some more jet fuel on my rag. What's left of it, what hasn't evaporated. I need to find out what this cleaner is so I can get some more of it. I've also got to get some metal picks. I've got some in one of the company trucks, but I do not have any here. I tell you, that's something else that I'm still learning is whenever I put tools on a company truck, I've got to learn to buy more than one of them because the company truck is never here, and I will end up needing that tool, and it's out in South Carolina somewhere. And so I go buy another one, then that one gets put on a different company truck or on one of the trailers, and then I need it and I don't have it. So instead of just buying one at a time, I need to go on and buy a few of them, stock the shop up, and just go and put one on each truck as well. The problem I find with doing that, though, is when guys see that you have multiple of one tool, they're less likely to keep up with it and take care of it. They definitely get used and abused a lot more in a different way. I'm using the my computer as the camera, and I kind of wish I would have done the phone now. And I don't know. I may be able to change it. I don't know. But had I used the phone, I would carry y'all out into the shop and do like a small shop tour or something. Y'all can see some of the cutting boards that I've got on the table. I've actually got two cutting boards on the table that I need to finish. I just haven't been in the woodworking mood lately, which is fine because I don't take, when I take an order, I do not take money because the way my work is, it's very unpredictable. The hours are unpredictable. So by not taking money, I am not rushed. I don't feel any pressure or anything. So the cutting board thing remains a hobby and never turns into a job. And that is the goal for that side of Ellis Industrial or the Cahaba Studio. Why is this stuff doing this? This is aggravating, man. I think I need to scrape the hard gunk off the top of my Loctite. Now, I'm telling you, people paid no attention to this knife. And honestly, I think it's discontinued. It's not on their website. But stores are still, or knife shops are still full of them. There we go. Perfect. So, anyway, I'm going to end it on that note. Thanks for the people that come in to check me out on my first live here in my office again, or my first solo live. Thanks for listening to my ramblings. And Todd Carr, my man, we need to get together on some of your woodworking. I want to see some of it. I need to go to your Instagram and check that out. Todd, I was telling everybody a minute ago that I'm planning on doing some lives out in the shop, doing some cutting board material and stuff. So you may be interested in that. We need to get together and do some collabs on some stuff and everything. So appreciate everybody stopping by. I've got to make a couple of phone calls now. Time to get back to the real world. And everybody stay sharp, be safe, and have a good one. Now I got to figure out, there you go. Peace, guys.